Hey there, I am Marina Orms, and today this is one of our Astrology for Nurses videos for nurses, for holistic healers, for those looking for support in their practice to bring in some of these ideas that astrology can help us take advantage of, and it gives us insight into our patients, our clients, and what they how they are experiencing things and what they need and what's going to support them in being empowered to do their own self-awareness, lifestyle changes, and support their own inner process. So, of course, healing happens in multiple ways, right? It happens when we do surgery or take a drug. We can heal ourselves that way, but there's many other kinds of healing that happen that have to do with our attitudes, our beliefs, our ability to love and trust ourselves, our self-care, our lifestyle. And so the ability to make healthy choices for ourselves can be something that can be helped when we understand the inner makeup, the inner experiences of each of us based on our natal chart. And then there's the whole subject of transits. And so anyway, today we are focusing on the sun signs, and we are going to look at the air signs. And so I've been talking about looking at sun signs, and specifically the different zodiac signs and what kinds of opportunities they bring, what kinds of challenges we might experience based on our sun sign, and what kinds of things are going to help support us to step into our highest potential. So if you don't know someone's sun sign because they were, ideally you know their birth date at least, because you need to know a birth date to find the sun sign. And for people who were born on a cusp, which is the day that the sun sign changed signs, then you might have a choice between two, and how you find that might help if you use the sun sign calculator. So anyway, just Google that sun sign calculator online, and you can that can help you if if it's not obvious. Okay, so let's take a look at our air signs. And just before I do that, let's think about air signs in general. And air signs are focused on the mental aspects of our being. And so now all of us have all four elements. So we are all beings of multi dimensions. We have a body, a mind, a spirit, and an emotional body. So we all have all of these things. But when we have a sun sign that's in a particular element, earth, air, fire, water, we have a need or a way of relating to the earth and the world around us that is based on that quality. So with air, we are talking about mental qualities. So ideas, thinking, communication, words, how we process information, problem solving, how our minds function. And there's a lot to it, but we can kind of get a surface take based on the sun sign. So let's look here at the first. So the three air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And each one is going to have its own particular qualities, specific qualities, but in general, air signs are about working with the mind and the ability to think about things. And so for people who have a sun sign in Gemini, if they're under stress, if they're being challenged, dealing with a health issue, or in general, just haven't done the work to evolve or to do the personal growth that's going to help them step into the higher qualities, they could be in this lower side of things. And so that can be distraction, difficulty focusing. It can be a lot of information. And so like the tendency to talk about things in an unfocused way, themes of how information is processed. So there can be an information overload, an excess in terms of thinking, being too much in the head, being an airhead. That's where that comes from. And so also difficulty expressing oneself through language, having verbal challenges, and issues with being able to learn. So the ways that you can support and help someone with a Gemini air sign to step into these higher possibilities, the higher possibilities they can step into when they are doing their personal growth work, when they're learning from the situations that life brings them, the challenges that they have to work through, and taking advantage of those opportunities to become more whole, learn more about who they are, feel empowered. They can step into these higher possibilities of being more embracing of curiosity, seeing the intelligence that is there with having a strong mind, the ability to explore and discover, embrace new ideas, have a mind of wonder, the openness and willingness to ask questions and learn new things, to notice what is around, right? That Gemini distractibility can become something that brings in new information, because the Gemini mind can notice something that the rest of us are too focused to be able to notice. So that ability to notice, bring in new ideas, and embracing different learning styles, right? So if someone is experiencing learning challenges or verbal or communication challenges, the ability to be supported in their unique way of doing things can be very empowering. So embracing and exploring different learning styles, different ways of supporting that process can be very helpful. And also you want to think about, this is the type of person who is going to respond well to information. So explaining how things work, talking it through, listening to their questions, engaging in discussion or dialogue about things that are concerning them. So to the extent that you are able and have time, providing information, education, and sharing ideas, and listening to their questions and listening to their thoughts about what could be going on, and how much are you as the practitioner or the nurse listening to what they're saying. So think about things that way. Also, when those people are listened to, it will be very validating for them, and it will support their process of self-empowerment and self-healing. Okay, and then for Libra is the cardinal air sign, and the lower vibration for Libra, lower possibilities when they're under stress, when they haven't been supported in their self-actualization process, when they are feeling stuck or trapped by their circumstances, they can be in these lower possibilities. And so for Libra, that can be a tendency to overly compromise, right? It's wanting to keep the peace, wanting to please, being a people pleaser, the inability to take action or be decisive, overly accommodating. So these people, when they're under stress, they're going to go into this lower vibration possibility of not making their own thoughts and perspectives important because they don't want to make waves. They want people to be happy, and they are willing to sacrifice and compromise their own needs in that process. So recognizing that these people might Libra sun, and it can apply to other planets as well, but the Libra energy is about this compromise theme. And so when that is in its higher possibilities, compromise can be a wonderful thing. And so that same tendency to compromise or want to keep the peace now can become something that is truly helping for the greater good, right? And it's like, I want to hear what you have to say, I want to say what I have to say, and together we'll reach an agreement that can be healthy for all sides and all parties. But before a Libra person gets to that place, or when they're not in that place, they can be in this like this thing of saying, well, for the sake of the greatest good, I will sacrifice myself. I will compromise my own needs. I will let go of things that are important to me that I might want, so that the whole can be stable and not get out of balance. And the problem with that is that that energy is not truly balanced because there's someone there who has compromised their own self and their own interests and their own needs. So in the higher possibilities, the best ways to support a Libra sun might be to say, well, what do you think? To proactively bring them in to participate and to share their needs and their perspective and their interests, and to recognize what those interests might be, and center those needs and interests. So recognizing the importance of it, the significance of what is important to that person, and validating that, just calling that out, bringing it out into the open. So what's possible when that happens is this greater sense of balance, a healthier balance, a more balanced balance. And that balance can show up in the body. When one's needs are being sacrificed, right, that can show up in the body. So when we restore balance, and when we're able to speak what we need to say, it can support and facilitate that process of restoring balance in the body. Justice is another Libra theme. What needs to be made right? What needs to be held accountable, or who needs to be held accountable? What needs to be right to restore that balance or that sense of justice? And that could be something that's happened to the person, and how do we address that, or at least recognize its importance? Harmony, again, balance, things working well together, ability to access the greatest common good. Also with Libra, relationships are very important. So there may be some relationship dynamics going on here, very much with that sense of compromising the self to please the other person. So healthy relationships mean that both person's needs are centered, right, and valued and important, to create that greater balance. So there could be some relationship issues. Healthy relationships are going to be a high expression for this Libra person. Dialogue, conversations, relationships in general, and the ability to see other people's perspectives. So again, this greater sense of how can we work together? What does it look like when we're all bringing our full selves and our needs to the table? And how can we bring about balance? And so addressing a Libra's needs for balance, also being an air sign, they're also going to benefit from information, from talking things through. In this case, there might be more of a dialogue, an exchange, a conversation, but communication needs to be happening. And your ability to facilitate that communication is only going to be helpful and supportive in this situation. Libra sun or Libra energy. Okay, and then finally, we've got Aquarius. And Aquarius is the energy of the higher mind. So it is someone who is outside the box, thinks outside the box, has to be their own person, might be rebellious. And now the lower expressions of that can be rebelliousness that's not healthy, rebellion for the sake of rebellion and not for the sake of a principle or a higher purpose. The Aquarian energy can be overly rational or logical, detached, almost like that feeling of Spock in Star Trek, where, is just very logical and not able to connect or feel supported. An unhealthy attachment to a vision or an ideology, overly mental or detached, and can be emotionally unavailable. So that feeling of being cut off from love and care is also possible here. And then for the Aquarius person, to support them to step into their own highest possibilities, recognizing the contributions that their higher level thinking can make. So they have the ability to see new solutions, think about the problem at a new level, a higher level, to innovate, to receive insights, a healthy kind of objectivity, and which it brings positive change. It brings an infusion of new insights, new energy, new information that can help solve problems and revolutionize the status quo. By allowing us to have breakthroughs that allow us to see how things could be different. And so with an Aquarius type person, there's more of this potential for things to shift suddenly. The idea of change is very much there, and it's going to, that feeling of breakthrough is going to be supported by getting all the noise out of the way. So it's maybe not the best idea under all circumstances to just keep giving the Aquarius person information, because too much information for an Aquarius is just going to feel like clutter. They actually need to, just like you would sweep a room, they need to actually clear out the clutter of different thoughts so they can open to the insight that is going to bring the breakthrough. And you as a practitioner can support that by giving them space, by not filling in the blanks for them all the time, but by saying, here's how we've thought about this, or here's some possibilities, and then take a step back, let them think about it, let them reach their own conclusion or breakthrough. And that's going to be very supportive to their own process. And so giving space, taking a step back, and recognizing too that Aquarius mind is thinking at higher levels. So you want to give them higher levels of ways of thinking about the issues they're dealing with. So there you go. That is the air signs, and innovation, information, breakthroughs, learning, and how we process information and solve problems. And so sun signs in air signs can be approaching the world this way, but certainly those signs can show up in any of the planets, and they might show up for a person in different ways. And also, just to point it out, that a sun sign depends on how it's aspected in the chart. So it may be expressing a little more in a little more easy flow, or maybe a little more challenging for a person to access. And that depends on other factors. So just recognize that not all Aquariuses are cut out the same, and not all Geminis are gonna be the same, obviously. But to recognize that sort of general way of being and interacting with the world can be very supportive and validating to people, that helps them do their own inner work and be an active participant in their healing process, which is what we all want. We all want to be partners in the healing process, and to obviously a person has to be ultimately, responsible for their own process of what it is they're healing and learning. Now, I'm not talking about a broken leg. I don't think, it's going to show up for each of us in a different way. And how we work with the energy, how it impacts our lives, what it means for us in the bigger picture. That's more what we're talking about. We're not talking about how to mend the broken leg. We're talking about how it impacts a human being who is experiencing that. And so I hope that is coming across as I share and talk about this. And thank you so much for being here. Let me know what questions you have. We'll continue with next time with the water signs. And then I'll have more topics for you. So check back here, the Astrology for Nurses playlist, going a little bit more into how to use astrology to support a healing process. And for nurses, caregivers, healing arts practitioners, and those of us who are on an active healing path. All right, thanks for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.